Hello friends, I am Dr. Kuldeep Mohadikar. In this video, I will present my 43rd chapter from my series Literary Pearls. The chapter is entitled as Charles Lamb as an Essayist. Charles Lamb is one of the most enchanting essayists in English language. His place is unique in the world of essays. His essays spread a fragrance which cannot be easily explained. The theme of his essays is Lamb himself, his emotional attitudes, his personal experiences, and his memorable associations. He may deal with any subject. He makes it fascinating by weaving a web of fancy around it. In addition to these, his gentle and kind temperament makes his essay very close to every reader's heart. Lamb had a very troubled life. The pathos of his life is reflected in many of his essays, but he artistically hides this pathos with a peculiar humor. Lastly, he writes in a poetic style which creates an imaginative atmosphere and poetic mood. Because of all these qualities, it is said that Lamb is a prince among the essayists. The essays of Ilya carry with them a fragrance and charm. He may write about his memories of school life or about his fanciful ideas about roasting of the pigs. He presents his impression with confidence. There is friendly relationship established between the author and the readers. He talks in a personal tone. His experiences are nostalgic memories with an appeal to human heart. He describes his childhood poverty in a very casual fashion, yet it brings tears to the reader's eye. In Old China, Lamb presents before the readers his old days of poverty. Uh, with great skill, in all his essays, the same fragrance and the same charm pervade everywhere. Lamb is interested in self portraiture. His essays read like autobiography and he narrates them in the first person. Though Lamb describes his own impressions and experiences, he elevates them to a very high level of art. Then all his experiences are transformed into universal experiences of humanity. That is why his personal essays are also termed as literary essays par excellence. He presents the passing mood of the writer without any elaborate detail, but the presentation itself is enough to evoke great effect in the readers. His theory regarding the roasting of the pig is not true, but he presents it with a casual way. At the same time, he is very serious and sincere about his conviction. Similarly, his views expressed in Bachelor's Complaint, Imperfect Sympathy are very appealing. The greatest quality of Lamb's essays is the grateful blending of pathos and humor. Lamb had a very sorrowful life. Actually, he did not marry because he had to look after his mad sister and old parents. He lived in the midst of poverty, rustic difficulties, and loneliness. He fell in love with a girl. He could not marry her because of his domestic consideration. In all his essays, he wrote his experiences with great tolerances. His gentle nature and human attitude helped him to face with the people of these hardships. In his essays, also Lamb covers his pathos with the help of subtle humor. Lamb achieves the blending of pathos and humor with great skill and success. In Dream Children, he describes his non-existent wife and children. He also describes his old grandmother and his dead brother. He mentions the small moments in this essay, Dream Children. He mentions the small moment of Alice and John humorously to cover their all pathos of his personal life. Many times he presents lies and falsehood. He mystifies a fact to divert attention. For example, in Christ's hospital, he writes as if he is different from Elia. By such methods, Lamb succeeds in blending pathos and humor. During his life, Lamb acquired very good friends like Coleridge. Every one of his friends praised Lamb for his sanity and wisdom. In his essays also, his sanity and wisdom are reflected. He always held wise opinion and he always tried to present truth. Similarly, his nature is gentle and kind. He always loved the poor and the neglected. He had great affection for the dark chimney sweepers. Actually, his essays are gospel against poverty, pathos, and sufferings. Lamb is romanticism in real sense. He loved the remote and the past. For him, London was the most fascinating city. Even in London, he liked the old building and the old streets. His romantic imagination played upon the old places in London. His description of the Bank building is very touching. Lastly, Lamb's style is an effective instrument to present his fancies. He borrowed his style from the 17th century writers like Taylor and Brown. The long and winding sentences, the imaginative description, the fanciful presentation are all suited to his temperament and to his ideas. For example, in Dream Children, there are hardly 7 or 8 short sentences. Otherwise, each sentence runs to many lines. But these long sentences were magical web of imagination and the readers are carried away by their fancy and rhythm with all these qualities. Another important quality of Lamb's style is his extensive use of allusions and quotations. He has a widely read man, not only in Elizabethan but also in the Bible and the classical. We can say that he is a voracious reader. His style is full of quotations from the Bible and the allusion to biblical events and stories. In Christ Hospital alone are numerous allusions. In the Old and the New Schoolmasters, there are references to Achilles and his hiding with woman. Similarly, extensive is his use of quotations, pretended quotations, transformed quotations, single word quotations. Lamb's use of quotations is unique in English literature. So, friends, he has used these quotations in so many ways in his works that we feel sometimes that he is a king of quotations. Humor is the most striking characteristic of Lamb's style. His style is inseparable from his humor, of which is the expression, the use of quaint and unusual words, of antique phrases, of whimsical metaphors, etc., serves the same purpose. In Poor Relation, we are told that poor relation is frog in your chamber, a fly in your ointment, a Lazarus at your door, a mote in our eye, or a servile imitator. He was so thoroughly saturated with his reading that the antique style of his favorite authors had become a part and parcel of his being. His style may have an antique flavor, but it is colored by his own imagination and derives life and vitality from own personality. His style may be old, but is always elevated by deep thought and observation. An outstanding feature of Lamb's style is its immense variety. It is flexible and changes with mood and sentiment. In fanciful mood, he can be as enthusiastic as Donne. When grave and didactic, he can write with sensuousness of Bacon as an imperfect sympathies. When writing of homely themes, he could write like man of this world and of his own century and year. When the mood is upon him, he can write a prose poem like The Dream Children. He can be misty and playful like Fuller, as in a chapter on Eros. It is suitable for all variety of themes. This is the most important quality. So this is all from my side on Charles Lamb as an essayist in this video. Thanks, friends.